Hi, I want to share another miracle with y'all. I want to share about one time when the Lord showed me to buy a house, a certain house. So when Bobby and I first got married, we bought our dream home. It was the most beautiful house. Actually, it was a house that I had dreamed about actually when I was a teenager too. I know that sounds crazy, but I have a lot of dreams that God shows me my future. And so when I was living in Levelland, Texas, I had a dream about this beautiful two-story white house. The dream was so real that I made my mom drive all over town trying to find this house because I was convinced that God had told me that I was going to have this house. And even though I probably had a job making, I don't know, $3 or $4 an hour because I was just a teenager. I was convinced that I was going to be able to buy this house. Well, of course, God was showing me something in the future. I just didn't understand dreams at that time. But anyway, so Bobby and I, when we first got married, we bought this beautiful two-story house in downtown. It was in Jackson. It was in North Jackson. And but what happened is we really needed to move. We wanted to move to a smaller town, into a better school district, and we just didn't want to put our kids, well, we really couldn't afford to put our kids in a private school. And so anyway, so we sold our house and we weren't sure, we actually bought another house in another town, but we kind of like, what ended up happening is when we sold our house, we ended up trading with another couple because we really just wanted to sell it, and we ended up buying a condominium. And then after being there for probably about a year, we really just wanted a home. And so we were praying about where are we supposed to move, where are we just supposed to locate, to get our kids in a good school and everything. And so one night I had this dream, and in this dream I'm walking down this hall. And in this hall, Jesus was standing in this hall, and he says, "You need to buy this house." Well, I realized it was Bobby's grandmother and grandfather's house, who they had both passed away, and his parents had been trying to sell this house for I think a year or two maybe. And so, but I remember in the dream I said, "But I don't want this house because we need a 4-bedroom house. We need a 4-bedroom house, not this is just a 3-bedroom house." And it was so crazy. But in my dream, the Lord looked at me and he said, take in the carport and add another bed and add a new bathroom. And I was like, oh, I never really thought about that. Well, it was an older house. And so anyway, and then the Lord told me an amount that we would pay for the house. And so y'all, I woke up from that dream. It was probably about 3 o'clock in the morning, and I could not go put back to sleep because I knew in my dream that this was God. I knew, it was like I woke up shaking under the power of the Lord, and I was just literally trembling because it was so real. It was really, I guess, a vision because it was so real. And so I could not wait until my husband got home the next morning. So when Bobby got home the next morning, I said, "Bobby, I know what we're supposed to do. We're supposed to buy your grandma's house." Well, his grandma's house needed some work done on it. But this is the crazy thing. That same night, Danae woke up the next morning and she says, "Mama, I dreamed that we got another house. We were living in another house, and it had booger green shag carpet." I think Danae she was 12 years old, if I'm not mistaken, 11 or 12 years old, because we literally ended up buying the house right after that. But the thing about Grandma's house was that's what it had. It had booger green shag carpet, which was, kind of like a dark olive, shag carpet. And so after I told Bobby this dream, and then Danae had the same, a little bit different dream, but she dreamed we were living in this new house. The same night that I had that encounter, the Lord really encountered her in a vision too. And so anyway, so he calls his mom and his uncle, who, this was in the estate. And so he was like, "We think we want to buy this house, And they told him the very price that God had told me that we were going to pay for the house. I had told Bobby, but we never mentioned that. And they offered us the house that the Lord, for the price that the Lord had told me in the dream. This was the crazy thing. In the dream, the Lord told me that he was going to give us this house. So we actually bought the house, but the crazy thing is when we sold our house several years later, which we sold this house and we bought the house we're in now, the money that we made off that house was actually more than what we had paid for the house. So actually, in reality, God did give us the house because the money that we made on the house was the down payment on this house. And actually, because some other stuff had happened, we actually got more money on the house when we had a tree fall on his shed, and they paid for the shed, which I think we got $10,000 or $15,000. So we actually was able to build the shed, remodel our kitchen, and we still had money left over. And so the money that we made on that house was exceedingly more than what we paid for the house. And so it just shows you how God, when we pray for him, he will give us the answers in miraculous ways. And God works things out for us when we just ask him and let him. We can have miracles in all kinds of ways in our life. Anyway, it was such a blessing to me when that happened, because we really needed that miracle. And I just know that God can work a miracle for each one of us anytime we go to him. God bless you.